Welcome back to the series, guys. Building an overland vehicle on a budget. So if you've been watching already, you'll know that we've already done an episode, an introduction into the vehicle we've chosen, what we're doing here, and all of the basic general stuff you need to know before we get on to the next video. So I'll stick a link at the top now to that if you haven't seen that already. And as you can see, I've had a good old eBay shopping spree, one of my favourite pastimes. Filthy animal.
Grinding.
To the left. Woohoo! You think it's like summer or something?
Just perfect. This series is sponsored by Right now we're going to move on to servicing and maintenance of the vehicle. We want this to be fully expedition ready and trustworthy and reliable, so we're going to do everything we can to get this in tip-top shape for the expedition that will be coming up at the end of the series. I have gone through the vehicle and sort of assessed everything that I think, in my opinion, needs attention, going by the history of the vehicle, what's been done before, servicing, etc., and what I can visually see from actually inspecting. What I've discovered is that the vehicle has had a fairly recent oil and filter service, but I like to change that myself anyway, so we're going to do that as a standard. So here we have our 1040 semi-synthetic, that's a Manol oil, which is the grade that this car specifies. So we're going to do an oil, and we also have the filter there, just as standard procedure really. For this particular vehicle, we also know that quite recently, if you're watching the last video, I explained this, it's had a lot of work done to the fueling system. So it had a brand new fuel pump, new tank, new lines front to back, new filter and auxiliary filter and everything too. So the whole works was done there. And that was within not that long ago, so we're going to not touch that, not going to change the fuel filter this time. We're going to do an air filter, which we're waiting to arrive. We've got a gearbox filter because we're going to completely flush the gearbox, because I've looked over this and the only thing that's sort of questionable in my opinion is the gearbox oil. So it's not pinky red anymore because it's an auto, it's slightly turned a darker colour, so it really is time. The gearbox works fine, so we know it's good, but it really is time to fully service that system. So we've got ourselves a load of SP3. These run on the grade SP3 from Mitsubishi. I've got another bottle of that coming actually because I realised I didn't have enough, so that will be 12 litres because we're going to do a bit of a flush here as well, and also the filter change. So we've got to remove the sump and change the filter, put a new gasket in. And what we're going to do is we're going to take one of the cooler lines off and purge the system with clean fluid. But you'll see all that coming up. A couple of other things, the brake pads are a bit low, so we've got a new set of front pads, new set of rear pads, Bosch and Blueprint to go on there. I've stuck with the brands that we trust as much as possible. And again, we've got Blueprint for the filter, gearbox filter, and the airbox filter that's on the way. Just as the wipers are a bit rubbish and they're a bit rusty as well, so we got a new set of those. I had some leftover 75/90 gear oil, so that's we're going to change out. Probably need to get some more, but we're going to change out the front and rear diff and the transfer box too, make sure that's all fresh. The cooling system, I mentioned that looks really clean, which I'm really pleased about because they normally get neglected, but on this one seems to have been looked after. Still see the colour of the antifreeze and it's nice and clear, so probably going to leave that, maybe change it later down the line, we'll see. As promised, we're going to keep you up to date the whole way through this, with the budget and how much we spent on this project. As I said in the first video, we have a upper limit of £10,000 and we want to stay well below that. So here we have the totals. I'm going to run this through in each video. We had the purchase price of the vehicle, and this is basically what everything has cost for the maintenance side of things, and that's what we're up to so far. So yeah, doing pretty well, I think, and especially if you do a lot of the labour yourself and the work, then you're going to save a load of money if you're able to do it, rather than having to pay a garage extortionate fees. So that's what I'm going to do, obviously. Let's start by removing the under trays and get into it. And guys, please do give this video a like if you enjoy it. At the end of the video, subscribe, hit the notification bell, because we don't want you to miss our videos, putting them out at random times, so you know, get a notification when a new video comes out, and you'll see it there. Cheers. Oh, that's one. So to get to the transmission sump, we need to remove this cross member to make it easier access. So you can see at the end of the transfer box there's a prop mount there. I've just jacked up on there to support the gearbox so we can take this off. But she's out, and now we have nice, come with me, clean access to the gearbox sump. Ta-da! So what we're going to do here is just aim that pipe at this bucket, run the car until it stops running, and as soon as it stops running, you're going to immediately switch off, so you don't have to run it dry. So hopefully you'll hear me over the engine noise. Right, are we ready?
Girls are ready, me and Chicoletta.
Ready?
Eventually.
Stop! That's disgusting. So what I've done is actually put that pipe back on and disconnect the one coming down from the cooler. So when we flush through with the new fluid, oh come on, speak, it will flush the cooler too, and everything will be flushed in.
Jack just had to wipe Chicoletta's poo because she pooped right where he put his board, and obviously he forgot.
Wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. So I've undone the sump, just draining what's little is left in there. The reason we don't just drain it from there and push it out the cooler pipe is because most of the oil gets stuck in the torque converter and the pipes and the rest of the system. So the only way to get it all out is to start the engine and push it out one of the cooler pipes. Thought while having a tea break, might as well try and do what should be the easiest job.
So they say.
Tidy, eh? Get rid of the rust. Sweet. So I've got all the bolts out. Now I'm just gently tapping this flathead screwdriver between the sump and the gearbox, just trying to be really careful because it's soft alloy. To split it, just literally tapping it. Try not to get it on my face. Oh, this is the filter box held on by 2 screws I'm going to replace. Put new one in, seal sump back on, new fluid, flush it out through the cooler pipe, and then refill with clean fluid. I'll tell you, it looks a lot more modern than Molly's gearbox with all these wires and things. Get the rest of the sealant off carefully. So I'm going to put on the new filter before we get to sealing up the sump. There it is, just like a paper sieve filter. Has where it goes into the gearbox, has an O-ring on there. And just want to put fresh oil around the O-ring. Little nick, not too tight. clean this up the best we can. It's really hard to get all of that RTF off, or whatever it was, the red stuff on there before. But we've got this main sealing edge clean that goes around it, so that should be fine. Cleaned all the pan out thoroughly, all the magnets are cleaned and back in there, and now we're just gonna get our new layer or seal of RTV on. Cool. Give that a mow and then we'll get it on there. Is that about right?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Half an inch until touchdown.
It's about the right place.
Yeah, it is actually. I'm gonna try to get one in. Yeah.
A new washer on the sump plug, and we'll torque up those bolts around the sump. You're gonna start it. I'm gonna go down the front and wait for the clean fluid to come through.
No, I'm gonna turn this seat warm and I'm gonna sleep here.
Start. Okay, that's clean now. Woo! So we had to do this bit with the engine running, but I turned it off so you could hear me. We already checked it. So you got to go through the procedure to purge the system. You just put it into reverse, neutral, drive for 30 seconds each, a couple of times. Puts the fluid all the way through the system, and then you check it on here that it's reached the cold level, because obviously the engine, the gearbox is cold. You just want it to be around there, which is good. I can't show you now because obviously the engine's off, but tomorrow I'll adjust as necessary, take it for a run, check everything's good, and once it's up to the hot, you can make a little adjustment on there. So that's a win. Gearbox is done. Back on it today, so it's been a few days. Had some other stuff to sort out, which will be evident in some of the other videos. Lots of things have been happening, lots of things have been added. You're going to get a glimpse probably here and there of a couple of additions to this vehicle that's gone on in the last few days. But anyway, enough of that for now. We got a lot of servicing still left to do, so you know, some of the other things have arrived now. We've got the air filter and the fuel filter, and so yeah, a few of those things are now here, so we can get on with that. Going to start draining the oil, get our new oil and filter in, air filter, do that today. And then we're going to move on to other things such as the brakes. We need to do all the pads all the way around, so that's going to be fun. And then get onto the drivetrain too and change out the, because we've done the gearbox, but we've got to do the front and rear diff and the transfer box. I think I'm using Wally as a storage cupboard at the moment. So yeah, we've got some Smith & Allen 7590 fully synth to go in there, a bit left over from before, so probably have enough between the two. Got myself a new pump because my other pump was a pain in the you-know-what, so hopefully that one will be a bit better. Well, we've got to get this cover off again because we had to use it over the weekend for the Patreon camping off-road weekend, so yeah, pain in the ass, but got to get that off again. There we go, that's the ticket. I'll try and catch this without making a mess. This car is so low, it needs a lift. It's clean on that side, but check out that side. Whew. Let's compare it to this one. Check that for a difference. Crazy, huh? Definitely needed changing. Lovely. That's a really easy air filter to change. Actually a good design for once, he says. Yeah. That's for the bin. So I just use one of these little tools to help me get the oil filter started. So it's loose now, just a 1/2 inch drive, and it tightens as you turn, so kind of gives you that first grip to take the tension off. Okay, this is where it gets messy, so I'm going to use the old filter, a bit of cardboard to catch, hopefully. That's all going to run down the arm, I bet. Oh. It's pretty hard with the camera as well, gotta say. What I'm going to do, the new filter, just going to put some, like 2/3 of it full with oil, new oil, just to make it a bit easier on the startup so it doesn't start dry. Oh dear. Anyway, spill a load of oil on there. You want to just put a coating of oil on the rubber gasket anyway. So filter's on, plugs in. I'm going to top her up now with all the new oil. And that's that one done. Halfway between the two markers. Top up a bit more. Let that settle, see where we are. I like to get it like just to the top mark, so I might add a tiny bit more. Right, so now we're going to get on and drain and refill the transfer box. Back under it is. Get the fill plug out first, just in case it's stuck, before taking out the drain plug. And then yeah, once that's done, drain it out and start getting this stuff back in there with this new pump. So yeah, hopefully that works pretty well. We've got our fill plug here, which I've cranked already, so that's loose, it's good. And now we can come around here and loosen up the drain plug and empty that. Here we go. Right, the battery died there. It did drain out, I promise. Let's stick that in. Screw it on. And just fill until it starts to come over the edge, and then we're up to the fill point and dribble back out, and we just put the fill plug back in. Okay, so at the rear diff, I've cracked the fill plug, which is there, and also the drain plug now. Actually looks quite clean what's coming out there. Again, we're going to clean up the drain plug with the magnet. A little bit of swarf on there. It's to be expected when it hasn't been changed in a while. Put a new washer on, and the fill plug too. Loose. That's loose. Just took out this sensor on the front diff because it was seeping a bit, so I'm going to clean that up, put a new copper washer on, and hopefully that won't seep any more diff oil. And while we got the guards off, gonna grease the front and rear prop shaft while it's nice and easy. So I just realised the rear prop on these has no UJ, so that's odd, didn't know that one. But there's one UJ on the front one where it goes into the diff, so gonna move around here. Bit of grease in there, it's gonna help things run smoothly. Right, so it's the next morning. I'm here with the car again, and we're going to do the brakes today. So, taking the wheel off already, because I don't want to get too good look at that. The wheel and tyre choice there, because that's up for another episode. Even though you've probably seen a few glimpses of it here and there. So yeah, wheels off, giving a bit of a clean under here, because we did do that weekend of off-roading, so it was a little bit grubby. So just got the mud and things off. Yeah, so here we go. Rear brake pads. 2 boxes there, front and back. Start with the back, jacked up, a couple of axle stands too. You can see this pad is non-existent, so definitely time to change. Brake disc, although old, with a bit of a ridge, it's not scoured or anything, so should be alright to reuse that. Notice the backing plate's a bit rusty on here, so and it's been grinding on there, so that'll be that little squeaky noise we heard probably. So I'm gonna get a screwdriver in there, bend that back, maybe that stops that. Well, this wheel is a little bit stiff, almost like the caliper's binding, so needs to do a bit more investigation there. Well, this looks like the only caliper on here that's been replaced, so I don't know what's going on there. Maybe it's why it's binding a bit. Maybe check, maybe we'll take the disc off and inspect the handbrake as well, to see if anything's going on there, how that looks. I mean, the lines look alright, not bulging or anything. Not sure what else really will cause it to bind other than the caliper. They both seem a little bit stiff, but this one more so than the other. I mean, you can still freely turn them, but there's definitely more resistance on this side. So yeah, anyone got any ideas, let me know in the comments. Would love to hear any alternative. Well, I haven't really got a solution yet apart from investigating from here, but yeah, if you got anything, give us a shout. Yeah, see that the suspension is ready to be changed. Well, it's just the dust cover, but it's a bit rusty there. But get some new suspension on there soon for another episode. Otherwise, I mean, she's pretty, she's got some surface rust, but she's pretty clean, you know, for a 2005 UK car that's seen salty roads and not been undersealed. Everything is solid, just needs good clean off and undersealing, which again, for another episode. The big bar. There we go. Can do with a clean, eh? Slightly uneven, but still both sides pretty low. Inner has a little bit more left on it, but yeah, don't know, we'll have to push the caliper back in, see how smoothly it moves. That'll help to tell how stiff it is. Like that. A little bend out while we're here. Could do with being replaced, but not essential at the moment. The back bit's still intact, it's just that top ridge is a bit non-existent, if you know what I mean. All that pretty, well, got your money's worth, eh? I mean, there's not loads of life left in them, but there's enough life left in them, I think. If you can see that. Proper stuck in there. Whew. Blimey. That's probably why that wasn't moving, eh? I'm gonna say it's that. Definitely that.
Moments later.
That was proper jammed in there, so I think that just needs a real good clean up and a grease. That wasn't moving at all, basically. Oh yeah, that moves pretty easy, that one. Piston going back into the caliper. Nice and easy. I've got a caliper rewind tool or push tool when they don't play ball, but this one is going in nice and smooth, so we know that's not an issue. The pin to clean up too, might have to get some sandpaper on that. See how it cleans up. Some light sandpaper, that would be. It's not too bad. Or can use a fine sandpaper or fine sanding block in this case, because that's what I got. To just get the worst of that rust off. Nice and clean, we're going to grease it anyway. That should be the ticket. New pads there in comparison to the old ones. Just going to grease up the moving areas, or where the pads touch the clips and the edges of the caliper carrier. bit on the back of the pad there on the anti-seal shim. Just put a little bit around the clip and where the caliper makes contact on that one. Pull the caliper out, and there's the top pin. It's actually pretty clean, so I'm just going to re-grease that rather than clean it up because it doesn't need it. Put the pad in the right way around, that always helps. Use some silicone grease for the sliders, protects the rubber parts and things. A nice smothering of that on there. So something fun has just happened. Tried to get the top pin out to clean and lube it, but it's decided to snap right there. Managed to get this bit loose, so that'll come out. But the question now is whether we can get the rest of the pin, which is probably seized in here, out. I drilled a hole through the end of the stuck slider pin, and I've put me punch in there so I can get some movement on it, so it's moving. Just going to work out how to actually get it out now. I don't want to come out.
3 hours later.
Finally. I can put this back together, finally get on to the front. About 2-3 hours later, something like that. Always the way, huh? Tell me, yeah, what's your worst stories about, you know, when half an hour job turns into a whole day or a whole week? I want to know the worst kind of mechanical thing or snap bolt or whatever it is that's happened. Let me know the story in the comments below.
Not you.
I was just about to do the fronts, but upon inspection, I don't know if you can see in there, it's a bit dark, but the pads actually have a decent amount of, there we go, life left on them. So we're not going to change that for now. Keep them as a spare, but I've just taken the pins out, give them a clean up, and I'm going to re-grease just to keep those moving smoothly. Last job, get the fuel filter, new fuel filter changed. Yeah, I know we said we weren't going to do this at first, but thought might as well. It's a good backup safety measure with these, just to, you know, put one on every 6 months or so. Make sure everything's clean, no water. We can check it while we got the old one off too. So if we look closely, this is what came out of the old filter. Now, if there was any water in there, you would see it like beading on the bottom of the jar, and there's none in there, so that's a good sign. Water in there from my hand. You can see the bubbles of water sitting on the bottom, and that's how you know if there's water. So we got a new blueprint filter, new O-ring where the water sensor goes, put a smidgen of clean diesel on both rubber seals to seal it properly. Loosened the air bleed screw on the primer housing, and now I'm going to try and pump this up until we get diesel coming out of there, and then we can nip it up and we should be good to fire it up. Tighten that up. It's gone hard, you know, there's no air coming through. Well then, that pretty much sums us up for, you know, the servicing and maintenance side of this project and build. I'm pretty pleased with how it's gone. The totals came in at 248.94, so we had to add that little extra in for the slider pin because that went wrong, but you always got to expect the worst. You know, something could easily happen, break, and you got to replace it. You know what it's like. So that's on there, but you know, £248.94, that is really not all that bad at the end of the day. You think that's just parts. We've saved ourselves a massive amount on labour by doing all the work ourselves. Well, it's not, I'm not gonna lie, you know, it's not the most comfortable thing rolling around under there, you know, taking the gearbox filter out and dealing with snap slider pins and all that, but if you can, you know, it's a really good thing to do. It helps you learn a bit more about your vehicle too, so you know, you're potentially going to be relying on this vehicle out in the wilderness, so you kind of want to have an understanding of how you put it together, you know, service it and potentially repair things if you need to repair things out on the trail. Yeah, guys, please do give this video a like, you know, subscribe if you're not already, hit the notification bell. Don't want you to miss out on our upcoming videos. Got a lot of, you know, big stuff coming up. You know, we've got the decision, you know, on the wheels and tires, suspension choices, the Overland gear, camping gear that we're going to choose, and things like that, and to the underseating side of things. A lot of episodes coming out. Don't want you to miss them. And I just want to say a massive thank you to our Patreons for making projects like this possible. You know, we just had our first Patreon camping weekend up here on the North York Moors, where we had 3 nights of camping and a couple of days on the lane, so that was really amazing. It's so good to put some faces to the names finally. Yeah, so I'll put a link up to the top now to Patreon if anyone wants to check that out. Hope to see a few more of the patrons that can make it this time. Next time, it'll be good to meet more of you. So yeah, take it easy guys, and we'll be seeing you very soon in the next episode. Don't miss it.
I used to sleep with open eyes. I used to breathe just to keep us alive. Now all I can see is we're drifting apart. I can't believe how it all turned dark. Bring me the light, bring me the light, bring me the light.
Oh,
Seems
sorry.
being attacked by a wasp.
I got attacked
That
by a
wasp is
wasp.
behind you again. It's behind you. Mate.
God. I literally just whacked him. Where the hell is it? Oh.
Right, take 5.
Where is it?
It's gone.
Ah.